Now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. A few years ago, IELLO came out with King of Tokyo, and it's one of my favorite filler entry-level games. Well, they came out with a sequel standalone game to that last year around Gen Con called King of New York. It was out of stock forever. It was really hard to get your hands on one. I finally got my hands on one. In this game, we're going to be romping around the Big Apple, the big city of New York. We're going to see some cameos from the Statue of Liberty. In this game, it's 2 to 5 players, plays in about 30 to 45 minutes. And it is a next step game from King of Tokyo. It's got some more complexity, but more decisions. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. At the beginning of King of New York, you get to pick your monster. My favorite, Captain Fish. Or you could have the Sheriff, cool looking dinosaur. Or you could have the Mantis. Or the Rob the Robot. Or Draconis. Or Kong, probably brother of King from King of Tokyo. And each of those monsters comes with a stand-in figure that you'll be using to move around the board in the game. And once you're ready, you set your stars, or which is points, to 0 and your health to 10. To win this game, you're trying to be the first one to get to 20 points, or 20 stars, or be the last person standing where everybody else gets to 0 life and is dead. So here we have King of New York set up. We have 5 boroughs. We have Manhattan, Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and Bronx. And at the beginning, players place their monster in one of the 5 boroughs other than Manhattan, and as long as there's not more than 2 monsters in any borough, and then we start. So let's talk about how the game works. Well, you're going to take these big, nice, great dice and you're going to roll them. And you're going to be able to keep whichever ones you want. Let's say I wanted to keep this and this and this, and I'll re-roll. You can take these other dice and re-roll them again. Let's say I want to keep this and I want to re-roll these 2. You can re-roll any of these dice up to 2 extra times. So that's 3 rolls total for any dice. And now I'm done. You can stop at any time too as well. And then you resolve the dice how they go. Now, energy itself, you get 1 of these energy cubes per energy dice that you are resolving. You'd take 3 of these cubes of energy and you would give them to yourself, and essentially it's currency in the game. You can spend those energy as currency to buy cards that will allow you to break rules of the game, but we'll get more to that later. Now a heart will heal you. You can never go over 10 unless you have a card that says you can do it, but mostly you can never go over 10. If you had less than 10, you'd get, let's say I had 9 and I rolled a heart, I would get 10. Assuming that I'm not in Manhattan. Now you can never heal in Manhattan. We'll talk about how Manhattan works here in just a moment. Now the claw, for each claw that you resolve, you're going to hit a monster or monsters. Now let's just say that this guy was in Manhattan. So what happens is, anytime anybody outside of Manhattan hits somebody, it hits the person in Manhattan. And they would go down 1 life point for every claw that that person rolled. If the person in Manhattan rolls claws, each of these people take amount of damage depending on how many dice of the claws that they resolve. So it's kind of like King of the Hill. Manhattan hits everybody outside hits Manhattan. So let's say I was the Captain Fish here, and I would have hit him for 1 damage, and he would have gone down 1 life point on his wheel there. Now, there is a star. Now, the stars don't do me any good at the beginning of the game until I have 3 of them. Once I have 3 of them, I can actually take this card called Superstar. And as soon as I roll 3, I gain 1 point, which would be right here. And I also add 1 point for every additional. So if I had rolled 4 of them, I would get 1 more additional point because I got 1 for having 3 and 1 for each additional one. Now I get to keep this card. Now next turn, if I roll just 2 stars and I resolve those, I would be able to get 2 points because I have the Superstar card. Where normally if you don't have it, you have to roll 3 stars in order to actually get any stars at all. And this is a card that basically can be moved around to different people during the game. So as I have this, I'm going to get stars every time I roll. Otherwise, I'm not unless I get 3. And whoever rolls 3 gets to steal that from them. So this is a card that's going to be going back and forth to different people, which makes the stars a better deal. Now, if I resolve 3 building crunches, as you see there, this allows me to destroy buildings in my borough. So I have 3 to spend. This one, there's 3 stacks in each borough. So this one costs 2 and gives me 2 energy cubes. So I could use 2 of my dice to get 2 of these energy cubes. Like that, I would trade my dice in. I would get the 2 energy cubes. And this would now flip over. It would also see the next one is 3, and you'd get 3 hearts. But now this flips over because we're building, crushing buildings. The military's mad, and now the military's after us. And this, we need to get a 3 to get this out. You'd still get 2 energy, but I'll tell you what the bad part about this is in a moment. Now I rolled 3 of those dice. I used 2 to flip that, and I'll use my third one to get 1 star, which of course is just 1 point on my star wheel. But now there's 2 military there. Now what does that mean? Well, we have the last side of the die. These are called ouchies, and they're the skull and crossbones. First of all, if I roll 3 of them, I automatically get this Statue of Liberty card. Now this, I get to take this from whoever has it, and I gain 3 points on my wheel for when I get it, but if someone steals it from me, they get 3 points and I lose 3 points. So these 3 points is just temporary, and that gives me a Statue of Liberty card. But in addition to that, this allows, depending on whether I have 1, 2, or 3 of these is going to do different things. If just 1 is resolved, I get hit by however many, for 1 damage for each military tile in there. So I would take 2 hits, and my heart would go down from 10 to 8, let's just say. Okay. Now, if I had rolled 2 of them, then any monster that's in there with me would also get hit. Now, if I resolved 3 of those ouchies, every monster in every burrow would get hit by any military tiles that are there. It's just mass destruction for everybody, and that's how the ouchies work. So after you've resolved all your dice, then you have the option to move. Well, now that I've caused a bunch of military to come here, I'll just move to a nice little safe place here that doesn't have any military yet. Then it would be the next player's turn. So pretty much everyone's turn is you roll the dice, you re-roll any of the dice up to 2 more times, you stop whenever you want, you resolve the dice in any order that you like, and then you have the option to move. Now that's generally how things work. Now let's talk about Manhattan. Now again, if I hit somebody from here, anybody from outside of Manhattan, when they do hits the person in Manhattan. Now if they get hit, let's say the robot here hits this guy, he has the option of coming out. And if he does, he swaps spots with the person that beat him there, and he comes in here. Now, with up to a 4-player game, there's only 1 person in Manhattan at a time. In more than 4 players, there can be 2. But let's say this guy gets in here. Anytime you go into Manhattan, you automatically get a point. You get 1 star. Now, the cool thing is that you can see that Manhattan is split up into 3 sections. We have lower, midtown, and upper. Now, if it comes back to my turn and I've withstanded all the hits from other people, and it's still my turn, I get to then, at the end of my turn, at the beginning of my turn, I'll get 1 point and 1 energy, but you can never heal through dice in Manhattan, so it makes it hard to stay there. Now, when it becomes my turn, I'll get 1 point and 1 energy for being here. And at the end of my turn, when I move, I go to Midtown. And then next turn, if I'm still there, I'll get 2 points in energy and move. And then I'll get 2 points and 2 energy every time. So it's good to stay in Manhattan longer because you get better things, but it's hard to stay in long because everybody's hitting you. And again, anytime somebody hits you, you have the option of this guy hit me, he comes back and he always starts in lower and tries to work his way up. And that's sort of how Manhattan works. And once these military start showing up again, you can use 3 of the building blasts to get rid of the military and 2 to get rid of this one. You can start getting rid of them. Of course, you still get the rewards that are on there, the hearts or things like that. But that's pretty much how those work. Now let's take a look at some of these cards. Now these are the cards that help break the rule of the game. There's a ton of these things. I'm just going to throw you a few of them. This one you have to spend 10 energy. It's called Subway. You discard it immediately, but you heal 2 damage and take another turn. And during the extra turn, you can move as often as you like, whenever you like. Pretty cool. This one is a Seismic Ray. Spend 1 energy to use your building crushing in any burrow other than the one you want. So maybe there's a tile like this that's in a different area. I can get that and get the health that I really need. Next stage, you discard, you lose all your points, but you gain 1 energy or heal 1 damage for each star that you lost. Interesting, you're giving up stars for energy or healing. This one's Extra Head. It's 7, but you get to keep 1 extra dice. The dice are normally black, but these are reversed. You get an extra die pretty much for the whole game while you have that. We have Yankee Stadium. That's 9. It's very expensive. You discard it, and you buy this card for 1 less if you're in the Bronx. Haha, thematic. And you get 5 points and heal 5 damage. That's pretty huge. This one's worth 4, and you can change some of or all of your hearts to energy. So that's just some of the things that those cards do. And again, you'll just continue this until 1 person reaches 20 points first, or until everybody dies except 1 person. All right, well, there's King of New York. Where do I start? Okay, the things that they added, I actually really love. I like the buildings. I like the military. I like how you can move to a different borough afterwards. you can decide to stay or move, and you have some decisions there. And what am I going to blow up? And what am I going to do? What do I need? I like that aspect of it. I also like the aspect of the superstar card, where you're stealing it from somebody. The stars mean something. It didn't take half the dice to make stars. They allowed them to do other things by having just 3 stars get you that card, and now they're all worth stuff. I like that, and then stealing it back and forth, and that's cool. I like with the ouchies, you roll all 3, and all of a sudden you've got this card that gives you temporarily 3 points. I like that. I like how Manhattan had 3 levels, and the longer you stay, the more you're there. To me, it seems like it really improved upon what was very streamlined King of Tokyo. And I actually like everything they've added to it. Personally, I actually still like King of Tokyo better. To me, it feels much more streamlined. It feels has a lower point of entry, so I can bring that game, because I'm constantly around people who are not in this hobby. King of Tokyo is one of my staple items I can bring out, and people can just learn it really quick. They like the Yahtzee aspect of it, and they learn it. I can't bring this to that same group of people and have them play it right off the bat. Now this is kind of like in that weird middle range where it's like it's not a game for new players, but yet it's not long enough or deep enough to be really a deep game for gamers. It's sort of that next step game where if people that like and that are gamers that want a filler game, that are kind of sick of King of Tokyo and they like that feel but they want something to give them a little bit more edge, then this is great. Now with all that being said, I really like the game and I am going to keep it. I'm going to have both. But personally, I think I still like King of Tokyo better, but this is still a great game, and it's weird because there's nothing that they added that I didn't like. In fact, I liked everything they added, but it just felt a little bloated, a little heavy, they just, all that adding it to it made it better, but at the same point, it stripped away what I loved about King of Tokyo the most, which was how streamlined and how easy it was to get to that game to anybody. So, it is a good game, it's still an improvement. I still really like it, I'm still keeping it, it will still come out quite often. But I still like King of Tokyo better. Does that make me weird? Maybe, but that's how I feel.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.